At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Welcome in to Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app, Sirius XM Channel 375, and all of our great radio affiliates around the country. I'm Chris Bleck, joined by Sean Little today, in for Abdalla, live from Chicago. We're on the air until 3 Eastern. You can call or text the show, 310-840-4910. Sean, thanks for coming in today. Thanks for hanging out. Looking forward to hanging out with you for the next 3 hours.
Easy call. Lots of stuff to talk about, Bleck. I appreciate you having me through. I know Abdalla's dealing with some things at the house. Maybe might be a little messy, might not be, but we're going to hold it down here today.
Yeah. He'll take care of business. It's what Adam Abdalla does. And if you listen to our show, and if you're new to the program, you know that Abdalla is always even-keeled, and he always is able to take care of business when the pressure's on. When the pressure cooker's there, he's a prime-time player, as Dickie V would say.
That's what it's all about.
So shout out to Abdalla. Sean Little in today, hanging out for the next 3 hours. Chris Bleck with you. It's Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. You know, something that caught my eye yesterday, Sean, that I think we have to start with, because it's a topic that we talked about yesterday on the show and we've covered here in the offseason of the NFL, is what will the Cleveland Browns do with their quarterback situation? And, you know, a part of the conversation that we brought up yesterday was the promotion online from the Browns and Browns PR about Shedeur Sanders being there for the program in the offseason, kind of promoting him. He's got a new number. He's wearing number 2 now, and really pushing him out there as the number 1 quarterback, even though the Browns are in a situation where their owner this offseason has said that he thinks that Deshaun Watson has a great chance to be the starter. Okay, so that's one. Their GM has been on the record saying that they are likely to draft a quarterback or acquire another quarterback in this offseason. All right, so that's 2. So you have possibly 4 quarterbacks. You have Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and Deshaun Watson, and then a mystery quarterback out there that the Browns may bring in, according to their GM, at some point here in the offseason. And then on top of it, they hired Todd Monken as their head coach. And the story on Monken that I think is what has led me to this thought on the Browns is that Monken has been a candidate for jobs for a very long time, right? And he has been passed over. He's been a long-time coordinator, a lot of success as a coordinator. But sometimes there's a reason why those guys don't get the gig, and there's a reason why Vic Fangio in Denver did not work out. Like one of the great defensive coordinators in NFL history. And then he gets the gig and it kind of falls completely apart because Vic Fangio, kind of a weird guy. Let's call it what it is. Kind of a strange dude, right? Okay, so I say all of that because Todd Monken, Sean, I think he might be in the same category as Vic Fangio when you look at this Brown situation.
Yeah, I think that's pretty well said. And sometimes you are just meant to be a coordinator, right? Like Fangio leaves his head coaching job in Denver where he had a rough go. He goes right back in the DC booth, and he's awesome, right?
Yeah.
In Philly, in Miami, like he does good things. So sometimes just overall, I get to focus on one thing, and I don't have to be the general manager per se of the entire team, which like a Mike Tomlin is really good at, right? Like those, they're 2 different things. Monken is a really interesting situation because, yeah, he finally got a shot and he gets an opportunity to do something, but not in the best situation. Like as much as players are in situations and they're belted to that, like if they can make things happen depending on the situation.
Sure.
Coaches are too because the runway isn't that long. Last time I was on Bleck, we talked about this, and my only wish for Todd Monken is Todd Monken does whatever Todd Monken thinks is the best decision. Don't let all this other noise influence you on who you want to start at quarterback because this is going to be your only shot. Yep. You're 60 years old. Pick who you think can play. If that's Shedeur, if that is mystery quarterback behind door number 5, go with him. But go with who you think is going to get you the most wins because this runway is not going to be very long.
Bleck Abdalla, Sean Little filling in for Abdalla today here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Okay, so that sets the scene for Todd Monken. Last week at the NFL meetings in Arizona, Todd Monken missed the coach's photo. And this was a big story because when the photo comes out, everyone looks at the different coaches. They see who they're sitting next to. Everyone wants to, there's also nothing else in the NFL going on. Yeah. So it's like something to talk about, right? There were two coaches that missed. Sean McVay missed and Todd Monken missed. Well, I feel as if because McVay has been there before, he doesn't get the same scrutiny when we're asking, where were you for the photo? You just laid it out, Sean. Monken has waited a very long time to be the guy, to be the head coach.
To be in this photo, this very photo.
He missed the photo. So yesterday, talking to the media in Cleveland, listen to Todd Monken explain how he missed the coach's photo.
I mean, it had nothing to do with me. I mean, they moved the meeting. I didn't miss it. I was just trying to get a sweet haircut. I mean, that's what I was trying to do. And then they moved the meeting. Now, you can blame that I should have been at the meeting when they moved it up and my ass would have known that's when it was. Yeah, okay, I got you. And was it disappointing? I bet your ass it was disappointing. I waited my whole life to be a head coach. I'm not in the head coach's picture. You'd think with AI they could have done that quickly and got me in there. But no, it's the way it is. It'll be under the bridge, and what'll matter most is how we move from here and do we win or not. That ultimately, none of that will matter.
What a nut job! I mean, it's hilarious. He's mad that they moved the meeting. Okay, yeah, sure. I'm guessing they let everyone know. I didn't know that Todd Monken had such a slick haircut that had precedent over the photo. And then also his thoughts on. I thought that they could just AI'd me into the photo. Sir, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, that was a lot of old man anger. That was my first time.
Right,
that was my first time hearing the audio. He was upset.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't realize he was that angry.
Yeah,
he was perturbed by missing that.
Yeah. Here, listen to the full thing again. Here's Todd Monken explaining how he missed the photo.
Oh, I really don't give a I mean, it had nothing to do with me. I mean, they moved the meeting. I didn't miss it. I was just trying to get a sweet haircut. I mean, that's what I was trying to do. And then they moved the meeting. Now, you can blame that I should have been at the meeting when they moved it up and my ass would have known that's when it was. Yeah, okay, I got you. And was it disappointing? I bet your ass it was disappointing. I waited my whole life to be a head coach. I'm not in the head coach's picture. You'd think with AI they could have done that quickly and got me in there. But no, it's the way it is. It'll be under the bridge, and what'll matter most is how we move from here and do we win or not. That ultimately, none of that will matter.
What the hell is he talking about?
Does Monken think AI is like a teleportation system? Like they could have zapped him from the haircut station, his chair,
I was just trying to get a sweet haircut.
I really don't know. But that, sir, is your Cleveland Browns head coach.
I was just trying to get a sweet haircut.
Off the jump, it's not the best look. Now, of course, it's funny. It's hilarious. I think he's a wacko. But on top of it, all that matters is what takes place on the field. And with that said, it feels very Cleveland Browns-esque. Like that this is the rationale, this is the reasoning, this is what happened.
The Browns don't have any leeway. So, yeah, of course, it feels very Cleveland Brown-esque, right? When you're a franchise that hasn't done anything very positive, and we're going on decades now, anything is going to be taken as incompetence, and this is shaping up to be that way, unless you're going to Dan Campbell it and flip it on its head, right? It was the same thing with the Lions. Incompetence. Who is this guy, Dan Campbell, biting kneecaps, etc.? But he flipped it. He turned it. Can Monken do the same?
Yeah, and Raj messaged us saying that he started the audio clip by saying he doesn't give a bleep. Well, people that say that give a bleep.
He clearly was upset.
Right? Of course.
I really don't give a
He was left out. He was absolutely left out. No, and Sean, that's where Sean Little in for Abdalla today here on Bleck Abdalla. I'd say this. As far as excuses go to why someone were to miss something, getting a haircut has to be one of the worst ones I've ever heard. Now, we've all been late to school. We've been late to work. We've been late to various events, big time events. You got to get there on time and something happens and you miss. So you have to come up with an excuse. I always feel like just being honest is probably the best way to approach these things. But people do come up with some wild excuses to why they miss work, why they're late, why whatever's taking place. You can call or text us today at 310-840-4910. what is the worst excuse you've ever heard for someone being late? Because I feel like this is something that we all can relate to. And I think getting a haircut and not giving a bleep, it's got to be one of the worst I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's because you're halfway there, right? It's like, I got to get fresh for this picture, but I don't know what time the picture is.
Right.
So I'm going to miss the picture because I'm getting fresh for said picture. So, yeah, I mean, he was halfway there, though.
Yeah, he was in the beauty shop, right? Like he had what's that machine that women, the old time women would use over
the
there?
hair dryer. It's like a hair dryer.
That's a dry. Is it a dryer?
Yeah,
I've never.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about? The thing that's on the chair that releases down over their head, and then they sit there with the curlers in there.
Yeah.
They're like little grandmas, back in the beauty shops back in the day. That's what I picture Todd Monken. Like he's doing that.
What time is it?
And they're like, "Where's Coach? Can you find Coach? Where's Coach at?" And Coach is sitting in one of those, waiting for his hair to dry. Dude, so first of all, you got to have a better haircut as well. Like when you appear and you were missing for your haircut and you look like that. Like I know a lot of people, the Masters started up today. The first round is going on right now. And a lot of people commented on John Rahm showing up with a fresh cut, right? Like, and he looked good. Now, they all wear hats, but he looked good yesterday for the par 3 competition at the Masters. So, like, people talked about it. I don't think anyone's like, Todd Monken looked fresh. He looked
trying to get a sweet haircut.
Right?
Yeah, no. I mean, there's not many people looking for Todd Monken hairstyles for any type of,
Give me the
inspiration.
Monken. Can you give me the Monken?
Yeah, I agree.
Whatever that is, old man, old white guy, right?
I'm just picturing him showing up late and looking for everybody, and he's like combing his hair, like, where is everyone? I don't get it. What happened?
Well, and he was pissed. And I would imagine he uses a comb like Sean Penn does in One Battle After Another.
Without question, he has a pocket comb in it. Without question, he has a pocket comb. No doubt.
He probably licks it the way that Sean Penn does.
Runs it under the water in the back. Yeah, 100%.
Which is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my life. But congrats to him. So Sean Little in for Abdalla today. Bleck Abdalla hanging out with you on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. So what's the worst excuse you've ever heard for someone being late, either to work, to school, to whatever it is? What's the worst excuse you've ever heard? You can call or text the show at 310-840-4910. That's one thing, Sean, that when I think of it, I don't think I've ever really had a bad story that was fabricated. Like, listen, I live in Chicago. I take public transportation. Sometimes there's a person on the tracks. That happens. That's a Chicago thing. Sometimes you're trying to get to work and there is a human on the tracks. Sometimes it's their choice. Sometimes it's not. Very unfortunate. I have compassion and empathy for those individuals, but sometimes there's just someone who's a little sideways who just wants to hold up everyone else.
And that's
right?
I wasn't laughing at,
No, I know. I just wanted to make sure
that, messes around on the tracks and then gets off. Let's be clear.
Right. Yeah. Yes, walks off the tracks too.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that people understand that is a common occurrence. I'm sure that happens in most big cities where there's public transportation that people use, that you come across those items. I do remember once I hit snooze and the snooze never took, and so I never woke up. I was like in my early 20s. I had a retail job.
Never took, huh? Is that what you said?
It never took.
Never snoozed.
Yeah, it never snoozed.
Snooze never snoozed.
I kept sleeping. And I woke up at the time I was supposed to walk in for work. But I didn't have an excuse. I called them immediately and was like, I overslept. Like this is on me. E1. I'll take the blame here. Like this was Chris Bleck air. Nothing to blame with this. Have you ever had a situation where you've seen someone with a bad excuse to why they're late?
Oh, without question, I'll never forget this, actually. I was my first gig in New York. I actually worked for CBS Sports Digital. We were in a meeting, and the guy that was supposed to lead the meeting came in and said he was late because he had to put his cat down.
Oh, geez. What?
And
no.
A couple people burst out laughing. And we all had a little chuckle, but I then was starting to like dig in a little bit. And I'm like, well, like you have to make an appointment for that. You have to, right? Like you don't just randomly walk in and say, hey, here's my cat needs to go down now. Not in the morning before. Like, so that
unless something happened, right? Like in the moment. Like I could see that, but you're right. Usually it's a plan.
What could happen abruptly that you would need to do it right then?
I don't know. Maybe the cat's out in the street. I don't want to.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, that was what he went with. And then we all had a chuckle, and people looked at him, and he was senior enough that what were we gonna say? But it was clearly nonsense.
Wait, okay. So that's why you guys laughed, because you knew he was just full of it.
Yeah, I mean,
because otherwise you guys have no soul.
Yeah,
someone walks in. I put down my cat this morning. You guys are like, ha, ha,
yeah, it was clear, but it was clearly, it was clearly nonsense, and it just didn't make any sense. And I think we were caught off guard. At least I was. That's why I laughed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the worst excuse. Even if it actually happened, that's the worst situation I've seen someone have to, come up with something for being late.
Yeah, because if that's real, that's just sad.
Yeah.
That's sad. You don't laugh at Sean, you don't laugh at that. When someone walks in, they say they put their pet down, you don't laugh at that.
No, of course not. But we had the meeting on the books for days, and then he just happened to put him down half an hour before
serious
that.
Things that we had to get to.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about? We had stuff we had to get to.
It's true.
All right, so you can call or text this show, Bleck Abdalla, at 310-840-4910. Send your best excuse you've ever heard for someone, best or worst excuse you've ever heard from someone. Todd Monken, he was getting a haircut. That's why he missed the team photo. It's hilarious. He's nuts. It's insane. Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Sean Little filling in for Abdalla today. Kirk Cousins met the media yesterday, and he told the media that he expects the best starter to be the player at quarterback, the best player to be the starter at quarterback for the Raiders this season. What if from day one, Kirk Cousins is not the best player at quarterback? We'll talk about that coming up next.
Imagine a sports platform that talks with you, not at you. Your stories, your opinions, your one destination. This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Sean Little filling in for Abdalla today. Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. When we look at the Raiders situation, they will be drafting a quarterback with the #1 overall pick. It's all assumed Fernando Mendoza will be the guy. He visited the facility this week. He's got the playbook. He's going to be the guy for the Raiders at #1. Yesterday, Kirk Cousins met the media, signs for 1 year, $20 million, and he is the expected quarterback for this upcoming season, which is it's just weird. It's a weird setup because I understand getting a vet to kind of teach the young player. But if we have the conversation of the best player on the field will be the guy who's the best from the jump, I don't know if Kirk Cousins will necessarily outplay Fernando Mendoza from day one. He may know more about the league or the playbook or maybe the ability to run a huddle, but I don't know if he'll necessarily be the best guy. And so let's take a listen to Kirk Cousins yesterday, meeting the media, talking about how the best quarterback should play, even if it's not him.
You know, we all want to play, I think, but I made this clear to Clint that, you know, the best player needs to play. If that's not me, I don't want to be out there. I don't think that's the best thing for the team. If I am the best option, then I believe it's important that those guys are out there. But, you know, I'm excited to, you know, get the chance to lead and help influence in the locker room and you know, do my part, do my role, and just most importantly, help our team win.
So, Sean, when you listen to Kirk Cousins say that, it's, you know, he's a good teammate. He sees the writing on the wall. He's coming in for 1 year, $20 million. Is it possible that Mendoza could be the starter day one if that's the philosophy that they will play the best player? Do you see that as a possibility?
Yeah, this is the age-old question, right? Do we throw the kid right into the fire? Do we decide if we want to give him a little bit of time to get acclimated and get comfortable and be fully ready before we, put him under center in a real live NFL game? Of course, Fernando could come in, be ready, and he has the nod. I personally think Kirk Cousins as a starting quarterback should be finished in the NFL. I don't think there's enough juice left. I think the Achilles was the final determinator for just his ability overall. If you saw him, just the drive off the back leg that was injured just wasn't there. He didn't trust it. He's just not a starting quarterback in the NFL. So I'm of the camp of get the guys in the fire and see if they could play immediately and just take your lumps.
Yeah.
Like we have a full 24 games probably until there should be any questions about if Mendoza can play in the league or not, unless he's horrific. But I'm of the camp of get him in there. Let's see how he looks. Now, what's interesting to me is $20 million for Kirk Cousins feels a little bit like a tweener deal, right? It's like, this isn't backup money, but it's not starter money either. But we want to feel like we're compensating you enough if we do ask you to go out there and play the first 6 weeks of the season and essentially be a martyr until we get our guy ready to go.
Yeah, and I think, here's where Sean, I think you're right about this. And it's that you have to figure it out as soon as possible if the quarterback you draft is the guy. The longer you wait, the more of a situation you find yourself in, like the Houston Texans, who give the fifth-year option to C.J. Stroud the other day, and they don't know. Like, I'm guessing they're going to give him a big contract extension at some point. But if he continues to backslide like we've seen in the last 2 seasons, is he worth that? I don't know if that's the case. I think with Carolina, you're seeing Bryce Young start to develop. I kind of feel good about the direction that that's going, even though it didn't start off great for Bryce Young. And so as a team, your window to win is when you have these quarterbacks you draft highly on a rookie deal before you extend them. The moment you extend these quarterbacks who are first-round picks or the number 1 overall guy, like 40% of your cap space goes directly to that player. So at that moment, that player has to be good enough to make up for some of the holes on the rest of the roster, right? And that's what we're seeing in the previous, if we go back 2 draft classes ago, that's what we're seeing with the guys who will likely get those extensions. Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and even Bo Nix. They've all proven that they are franchise-level quarterbacks. Now, how good that they can be is still up for debate based on when they get that new deal. They're going to be making so much more money, and they're going to have to be good enough to make up for the fact that you don't have the ability to spend on the highest costing defense or offensive line or whatever that is. We've seen Kansas City go through this. This is exactly what the Chiefs have kind of gone through, right? They were in their apex was when Mahomes was still on that rookie deal before he got that big contract, and then you have to figure it out along the way. And Mahomes is good enough to make up for other deficiencies on the roster. So with that said, I think you have to start Mendoza from day one, even if it's rocky. And I know that if you talk about the mental side of it, there will be a learning curve. For anyone that follows college football and being a quarterback in college football is so different than being a quarterback in the NFL. Listen to any quarterback talk about what they have to say in the huddle with what's coming through the headset to the players on the field. It is so different than looking over at the sideline and seeing someone hold up a sandwich board with 4 different cartoon characters on it, and all of your players who are skill position guys are just running the same route every other play. It's a different thing. So it will take time. I just think the best route to go would be the Raiders starting the rookie from day one.
Couple things that are very interesting. Clint Kubiak, 51% of his offense for Seattle last year that won the Super Bowls ran under center. Fernando Mendoza ran, I think, 5 plays in his entire college career under center
Yep.
from Cal and Indiana combined. So he doesn't operate under center. How is Clint Kubiak going to manage that? Is he going to bend his philosophy and his O to his young quarterback, or is he going to make Fernando Mendoza's learning curve a lot heavier by him going under center? That's something to keep an eye on. Number 2, to go back to the CJ Stroud piece. This is like the perfect, when the owners decided that, hey, we need to get this rookie wage scale thing set up. This is a perfect example of what they were talking about. They have no problem giving CJ Stroud a 5th-year option at $25.9 million to get another full season of a look, and then we can decide. If they're going to give him a long-term contract or not, they still get that option. And those are when the big boy decisions start. Now, to go back to Mendoza, I think deep down, Bleck, a lot of these coaches know if the quarterback is ready to be thrown on the field for a live game. It's all about how they manage the pressure of ownership, a GM, the fan base. Like, because in a perfect world, you would want your coach to be like, hey, this dude's not ready. Let me put the $20 million Kirk Cousins veteran out there. Because Kirk Cousins isn't gonna blow people away where they're like, uh-oh, do we have a quarterback coming? Like, do we why would we bring Mendoza? Kirk's playing really well. Kirk is going to be just okay. So I think deep down, sometimes I know these coaches are looking at young quarterbacks and like, this guy is not ready to play, but I'm going to put him out there anyway because I'm under so much pressure that I don't know if I have an option. So you almost have to have the stones as a NFL head coach to know if your guy is going to get embarrassed out there. Give him another 4 or 5 weeks, run Kirk Cousins out there as the martyr, and then get your guy out there when you feel comfortable with him, knowing he'll at least have some success.
Yeah, and I think Sean Little in for Abdalla today. Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Yeah, I agree with you. It is definitely, it's not a conflict of interest, but there's the different parties involved have different, they have different stakes in it, right? Like ownership or even the fan base, they want to see the rookie play. The coach, most coaches are not going to last for the amount of time for that rookie quarterback to get that new deal. That's just the way the NFL works. So a coach is definitely going to lean towards we should play the more experienced player because it allows them to possibly win some games and keep their own survival for being a head coach. Now, Clint Kubiak, a little different. He's a first-time head coach, so the expectations are low to begin with. The worst team in the league, worst record, number 1 pick, new head coach. All right, build it up. You know, you're an offensive-minded guy. Okay, change and fix the offense in year 1. Get it moving in the right direction, and then we'll figure out the defense in year 2, and hopefully in year 3 with Mendoza. Now we're trying to make the playoffs. Now we're trying to be a good team. Now we're trying to win the division. So, like, there is a runway there. But I also think that that's where sometimes coaches get in their own way with these things because they're trying to win games so their record looks better so then they don't get fired. I think to get the decision on the quarterback, you need to play them. And when you brought up the fact that Kubiak and under center was the way that they operated in Seattle, I think that's huge. And I think it's also where we could look at a couple different quarterbacks recently, like especially one, Jaden Daniels as a rookie. What they did in Washington was like they set up the offense a lot like the way he ran it at LSU. So they catered it to Jaden Daniels. And then the learning curve in year 2 was a little bit rougher because you can't really do that in the NFL and get away with it for so long. Where on the other side of things, with Caleb Williams, the first regime, which was a mess that he had, dead coach walking and Matt Eberflus in an offensive system that was busted, they tried to kind of do both. And last year with Ben Johnson said, hey, the start of the season, it will be rough. Training camp will be rough. But we're going under center, and we're doing it the right way. And then as the season went on, it was like, oh, yeah, okay. Caleb Williams is now turning into a very polished pocket quarterback and being comfortable with. And the reason I think to some, the big difference to a quarterback is like if you're under center, that means when you drop back, there are times where based on the steps and based on the routes that need to be ran, you turn your back to the defense and being comfortable with having your back to the defense and then whipping your head around and being able to make your decisions and go through your reads. So you're right to kind of look at that with Mendoza and see what is comfortable, what's the right way to do it, how long will that take, I think goes into this whole conversation. I think it's pretty obvious. Kirk Cousins will be the most prepared day one, but I don't know if Kirk Cousins will be the best quarterback on day one.
And you need the head coach to have a serious backbone. He's not ready yet. When he's ready, he'll be on the field. Next question. Simple as that. Like I don't need to explain
Next question.
No, because I think a lot of the coaches get caught up in like trying to explain themselves and their culture and what we're seeing. And he's not ready. When he's ready, I'll put him on the field. That's it. And you could say that till you're blue in the face. And some people might not like it, and you might get some heat from the fan base, but it's all about what's going on in the locker room. And eventually he will get on the pitch, as they say in soccer.
Yes, absolutely. Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. You can call or text the show at 310-840-4910. Sean Little filling in for Abdalla. We're sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Quote today at progressivecommercial.com. You know, Brian Windhorst was on the record on ESPN television yesterday talking about the 65-game limit for awards in the NBA. There's been a lot of discussion for it. I thought Windhorst had some good comments. We'll listen to that. And also, Sean, like when we look at it, is it working? Are we getting more players at the end of the season actually participating and trying? I think the players care about these awards, but is the 65-game threshold, does it make sense? We'll talk about that coming up next.
Will Alabama QB Ty Simpson be picked in the first round? The Jets, Cardinals, and Steelers have been mentioned as fits for the pocket passer. The NFL Draft starts April 23rd. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Sean Little filling in for Abdalla today. Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Sean also works at NBA TV, so it's great to have Sean in. Talk a little hoops with Sean as we go through the show today. We're on the air until 3 Eastern. We're in the final week of the NBA season. The seedings are, for the most part, kind of settling up in which teams will face off against each other, which teams will be in the play-in round next week. And also, we're kind of shaping up towards what the end of the season awards will look like. It seems like to me that the MVP race has now come down to two. Hopefully, Victor Wembanyama can find a way to play at least 20 minutes per night in the last couple of games so he can qualify, which I think, Sean, is a crazy thing to think about because there's a rule where players have to play at least 65 games in the season to qualify for the postseason awards and the All-NBA team. What do you think of that just from the jump? Do you think that this rule has improved the play that we've seen throughout this season?
How do I say this? I do like the mandate, if I'm being completely honest, because that still gives you, what, 12 games to miss if you need to. And also, if we're being honest, Bleck,
yes.
The NBA is a little bit of a free-for-all. Like, if we don't put mandates on these guys, it's a little bit of a free-for-all. The money's guaranteed. The season is too long. It's clearly too long. Everybody knows it's too long, including Adam Silver and the hierarchy knows it's too many games. They don't want to tinker with it because of historical elements and a lot of different things. And, of course, money. And media rights and, of course, all that stuff, right?
Which I agree with. I don't think it's too long.
It's 100% too long. Have you watched hoops the last 6 weeks?
No, I have, but it's also the decisions that are being made by teams where we have, 9 teams in the league that are not trying, actively not playing, which creates these games that don't matter. And, like, it's all one problem, But there's all these different layers to said problem.
But I think that is my greater point of, like, if you don't mandate these guys, they'll just start doing whatever they want.
Right.
Like, if I can win MVP and play 55 games, I'll just play 55. And I'll put up a ton of numbers and I'll do my thing. And I think it is rigid, and you don't want to see Wembanyama limp out there to play 20 so he could get first team All NBA, right?
Right.
Like, that's not what it's designed for. But if it comes down the stretch and that happens to be the case, I think it's just part of the game. But I think sincerely, with the tanking and everything that's going on, if you don't make a clear mandate in the NBA, it is a free-for-all, and we've seen that for years on end now.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. The players are to blame just as much as the situation that they're playing in is to blame, and Adam Silver is to blame. I mean, I'm also someone, and maybe you can call me old or washed, I don't think the play-in tournament does anything for anyone. I think it's stupid. I think it's a waste of time. I don't understand why a team that finishes 10th or 9th in the conference needs more time to sneak into the playoffs. You had 82 games to be one of the top 8 seeds in the conference. Why are we including teams that can't get it done? And in the West, you have teams dipping their toe under 500 participating. Thank God, the Eastern Conference will have a bunch of teams all above 500 this year participating. It's like the first time in like 7 seasons that this is the case. I think ESPN television on the national televised game last night was talking about it. That look at the congratulations to the Eastern Conference. All of the teams participating in the playoffs are over 500. What the hell are we talking about? That's insane. So, like there are so many different layers to this conversation. Let's take a listen to Brian Windhorst. He talked about this on ESPN television on the 65-game rule working.
We're never going to see a season like this again from no one else, ever.
I think the league likes the rule. I think it is functioning. There are moments with it that I think make the league look a little punitive here. Actually, one of the things that I've learned is I watch these players really stretch to get to this limit. They really like these awards. Whatever they want to say, their actions indicate they care about getting onto these lists and getting, into these honors. And here's the thing, I'll just put forth Nikola Jokic. He has been sitting with a game to spare now for 5-6 weeks, and he has continued to play and continued to play. He can't say he doesn't care about awards either. But I also think that it just shows how many of games would he have maybe missed if he didn't have to hit that. The behavior of the star players indicates that this number means something. And yes, you can point to the players who may miss the award, a chance to get an award by a game or two. The league would privately point to, look how many players got it by a game or two, and look how many games they played, including national television games, which was the point of all this. So while it is unpopular, it is working, whether anybody wants to admit it publicly or not.
So that was Brian Windhorst on ESPN television. And yeah, he's right for those individuals. I think the two cases to point out that are in hot water to maybe miss it, or actually it might be 3. Wemby, if he doesn't play in either of the last 2 games. And then it's Cade Cunningham with a collapsed lung. He's having his best season, one of the best players in the Eastern Conference. That's not something that is, if he were to miss it. Now, he came back last night, and he's not going to miss it. But if he were to, because of that, because that's the type of injury you can't predict how long someone would be out for, that would be a really crappy thing for that player to miss out on awards because of something like that. And I think the same goes to Luka Doncic. Luka has tried this year. He's been in the best shape he's ever been in. I think for various reasons that's the case. A little revenge tour. You never know how that works, where the motivation comes from. Yeah. Luka in L.A. now, looking good, slim. But he also has showed up. So, it's such a tough thing. Is it working? Yes. But also, it's kind of lame that players could miss out if they don't meet the threshold based on things that they cannot control.
Yeah, but injuries are injuries, and you can't typically control them, right? So it'll be one of those things where if you're injured and you miss because you're injured. It's unfortunate, but throughout the years, how many people have we seen go down for injuries that are just bad luck and unfortunate? Luka there is a little bit of there's an unforeseen clause that you can appeal to the league, unforeseen circumstances.
Yeah.
So Luka missed a couple games for the birth of his daughter that was in Europe. So he went there for that and missed a couple.
Earlier in the season.
In the season.
Yeah.
So he's going to try to appeal and try to stay under that or over that 65-game mark. But I think the overall thing here is to your point about the play-in, it's really brutal, honestly, and like multiple leagues have made this mistake. Half the league or conference doesn't need to make the playoffs.
Right.
We don't need half the there was a stretch over a few years in Major League Baseball. It was the wild card, the super duper wild card. It was like the triple wild card. Do we play 3 games at home? Like, how do we is it best of 3? Is it best of 5? It's like,
right.
Like the reason we're jumping through all these hoops is because half of the league you're trying to put in the playoffs. It doesn't need to happen. I think the NBA is suffering a little bit from that. And the play-in was initially brought in to try to curve the tanking piece. It seems like the tanking is uncurvable. You got to figure out a way to either penalize or have the lottery motivated by winning some way, somehow.
Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Sean Little filling in for Abdalla today here on this show, and we're talking NBA with you. If you want to join the show, you can call or text us at 310-840-4910. I think on tanking, I think the best way to solve this, and I've seen various proposals that are out there, changing odds and penalizing teams for this and that, and like it all seems very complicated. I think what you could do is just go back to the old way of the lottery, where the team with the worst record had the majority of the ping pong balls in the lottery. And sure, you could have a situation where 1 or 3 teams race to the bottom. That could happen. But when they smoothed out the lotto odds, what that did was, sure, maybe you don't have as good of a chance at number 1, but it turned everyone in the lotto to having a better chance at a top 4 pick, which in result, instead of eliminating tanking, has just incentivized any team that was close to making the playoffs to flip the switch and say, you know what, we might as well lose because we're not actually going to win, right? So when we look at it, and as we kind of wrap up the conversation, Sean, on this topic, is I think if they went back to the old way of the lotto, I think that would actually fix a lot of the problem.
But there was tanking then too,
Right. It just wasn't the epidemic that we're seeing this season because of what you said. Look at the league in the last 6 weeks.
It's been brutal.
Half the games are just non-competitive, again, with teams trying not to win.
Yeah, you have to figure out some way to incentivize winning. If that is as simple as the team with the best record that doesn't make the playoffs gets the number 1 pick, whatever that, but you could try to figure it out a way.
And you're right. And we can continue the conversation later on this, because then I would throw out there, what do you do with teams like the Sacramento Kings, who just stink? They're always bad. And it's sometimes they're not even trying to be bad, and they're bad. So my point would be, if you're rewarding the teams that are just missing out on the playoffs, how do you ever get better if you're a team like Sacramento and you can't get out of your own way? The only hope is to draft the next LeBron James. Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Sean Little filling in. We will talk about Lamar Jackson at practice.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
That's right. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app, Sirius XM, Channel 375, and all of our great radio affiliates around the country. I'm Chris Bleck, joined by Sean Little today in for Abdalla. We are on the air until 3 Eastern. You can call or text the show at 310-840-4910. Hanging out with you until 3 Eastern. Some of the texts coming in on our conversation about Todd Monken. Monken is upset that he missed the coach's photo last week in Arizona. Not because he was holding hands with someone on the roof, but because he was getting a haircut. The guy was upset. Some of the texts coming in, we'll read those in a couple moments at 310-840-4910. But, Sean, there's also news in the NFL that I think it's a big deal. This week, Lamar Jackson has been present. He's been at the facility in Baltimore. And with a new head coaching staff coming in and a new philosophy offensively, it is good to see Lamar Jackson in person participating in the offseason program, even though it's not mandatory. This is a good step forward for Lamar Jackson.
No question. We've seen Lamar Jackson upset. And what's our favorite word, Bleck? Disgruntled.
Disgruntled. Yes.
We've seen Lamar Jackson disgruntled. We've seen him at the podium with a big bag of popcorn and a milkshake and probably 20 pounds overweight because he hasn't got his contract yet. So we've seen upset Lamar, and we've seen how the start of those seasons has went. It is massive that Jesse Minter comes in. First of all, defensive guy.
Yep.
Personally, I thought that was somewhat disrespectful to Lamar Jackson. If you're looking, if I'm starting fresh, Harbaugh's gone, I'm Lamar Jackson. I am, without a doubt, the face of the franchise, multiple-time MVP. I'm the key to us winning a Super Bowl. In my opinion, you should be going to get an offensive head coach. So I don't know if Lamar took that as a slight. I took that as a slight to Lamar. But either way, defensive first head coach, but it's about the culture and the tone that's being set. King Henry, Derrick Henry's there. Mm-hmm. He's an old veteran guy. Those guys, like, if anybody doesn't need to be at involuntary workouts, it's Derrick Henry, a running back of his stature. Lamar is the face. The fact that he's there looks like he's happy to be there. I saw a couple clips. He looks to be in good shape already. And we're in April. I think this is massive for the franchise and the new regime, getting Lamar Jackson in the building.
Sean Little filling in for Adam Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. We're hanging out with you, and we're talking about the Baltimore Ravens right now. And this is why it's a big deal, right? Lamar is focused. He's there. And it's not just our perception picking up on this. The players are talking about it as well. Here's Zay Flowers talking about Lamar getting ready to work with Declan Doyle, the new offensive coordinator.
He ready, man. Like, I feel like we answer that every year, and he always ready. So he even more ready this year. He excited about the coaching staff. He excited about getting to work with Coach Declan. So he ready to go. He want to finish. He want to get a ring.
Hold on.
I caught that. Did you catch that?
I caught that as well. Hey, Raj, can you run that clip back again for us? Listen to the end.
He ready, man. Like, I feel like we answer that every year, and he always ready. So he even more ready this year. He excited about the coaching staff. He excited about getting to work with Coach Declan. So he ready to go. He want to finish. He want to get a ring.
The offensive coordinator is Declan Doyle.
Coach Declan?
Declan.
Getting to work with Coach Declan.
Shout out Zay, man.
That's great. That's awesome.
And this is why you go to the involuntary workouts,
it's like
man.
First day of school.
You got to get people's names straight. You got to make sure you're back to the basics, baby. You got to make sure you can put your pads on, strap up, Declan. And you get the coach's name right.
I mean, how great is that? I mean, to be a player in the NFL where it doesn't really matter if you know the offensive coordinator's name, because like Zay Flowers, he's a good wide receiver, right? Like he doesn't
need to know his name. Just give me the rock, man. So that's like the fact that it's coming from a wide receiver at voluntary
it's
work.
So perfect.
It's so perfect. Like Declan, whoever, man. Just give me the ball.
Coach Declan.
To add to it, like Declan Doyle, if you've ever seen a picture of him, does not look like a football player. Right. So like I could also see, I'm not saying that this is the case, but I could see some players sometimes looking at individuals who didn't actually play the game, who are in roles like that, and be like, oh, what is Coach Double D here? What is he? What is this guy? Guy? Who's this nerd? Because that's what Declan Doyle kind of looks like a nerd. Yeah. So like I could see it. Now he has the background on Declan Doyle. He was on Sean Payton's staff. He then was the offensive coordinator last year with Ben Johnson in Chicago. Don't get anything confused though. Ben Johnson ran the show. The word around the Chicago Bears last year, though, was that Declan Doyle is a, quote, mini Ben Johnson. So if you saw what Johnson did in Chicago and you thought that was impressive, maybe at some point Declan Doyle will be a head coach in the National Football League. We'll see. But I think that's great from Zay Flowers. He's close. Yeah. He got a D in the name, right?
Declan.
Right? Declan.
Coach Declan.
So, yeah. The news or the important part about it is Lamar Jackson's there. He is preparing, and he is what I kept saying this offseason, Sean, is that Lamar Jackson is great. There's no argument there. He's a 2-time MVP. What I've asked of Lamar Jackson is to take the game in the same manner as someone like Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers and some of these individuals in the offseason where their life is preparing for the game. And I know in the last couple of years, Aaron Rodgers hasn't always been as present, but there was a long track record of him being there in the facilities and working with young wide receivers and making sure everyone's on the same page. To me, that stuff is actually important. I think sometimes we make a big deal about, like, you mentioned Derrick Henry. If Derrick Henry was or wasn't there, I don't think it matters at all. But when you're the quarterback, that stuff matters. And it may not matter specifically to you, but it matters a heck of a lot to those who are trying to make the team or the rookies or the younger players who are there right now before the rookies get selected, and then they have the workouts after the fact. So with a new offense being implemented, I think it's a big deal that Lamar Jackson is there this week, and people are talking about it.
It is. It is a big deal. They need to get off to a good start. We talked about it last time I was here. There's been rumblings throughout his career that he's not the first guy in, last guy out quarterback.
Yeah.
And when you have that type of talent, if you can combine it with that work ethic off of the field as well, this is where the Super Bowl starts to come in for Lamar Jackson. The MVPs are done and dusted. We know what you can do in the regular season. Can you run that in the playoffs? And a lot of that stuff is just off the field. And when you're trying to build a relationship, football's the ultimate team game. We know that. You build relationships with your first appearance in a voluntary camp where you don't need to be there, but you show up anyway, and you start to build and work on those relationships as early as April 9th. So, yeah, it's massive for Baltimore, for the club, for Declan Doyle and the whole staff over there in Baltimore. It's big. It just shows that he's taking things seriously, because that's been the knock. Like, he doesn't take some things as seriously as other quarterbacks.
Don't with the Declan. That's
Shout out
great.
Declan Doyle, man.
That's great. Declan. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. You know, Jesse Minter, you're right. Defensive-minded coach coming in for the Ravens to take over. It's interesting. You said that you thought it was a bit disrespectful towards Lamar Jackson. I wonder if it's the opposite of that, though, where they think he is good enough to kind of mature and be the guy that runs the offense. And so you can have a head coach who is defensive-minded to counterbalance it. I'm guessing in the long run, it may not work. We see how this works in the NFL. It's really driven by the offensive-minded play-calling head coaches. That's the sweet spot. That's what you want.
And look, Declan was here in Chicago. He wasn't the guy pulling the string. Like, if you look at all the big-time quarterbacks in big-time offenses, they are tied to a big-time offensive mind that has been doing it for a very long time. You're essentially sticking Lamar Jackson with a rookie offensive coordinator and a defensive head coach. Like, I think that was an issue for me. If I was a Baltimore Ravens fan, I would be a bit perturbed by that, because why not go get a guy that's solidified and I think would know how to use Lamar in his best capacity. Also, does Lamar, like, there's also a respect factor here.
Yeah.
Like, is Lamar going to listen to Declan Doyle like he would listen to Monken, or he would listen to a Sean Payton? Like, That's where the nuanced stuff starts to get really, really interesting. Lamar could easily just kind of big dog Declan and be like, hey, man, 2-time MVP. I've been around the block. I don't know if you know what you're talking about here. I'm going to go with what I think. And that's where the things start to get really interesting, where, like, Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. He's never second-guessing Andy Reid, period, point blank. That's the bottom line. And I think that's why the Belichick-Brady thing worked until it didn't, until, Brady really outgrew that. But that relationship needs to be so A1. Caleb, like Ben Johnson is going to be a force when talking to Caleb Williams.
Yes.
Caleb is not going to feel like he could talk circles around Ben Johnson. Like, I'm kind of worried, like, are they going to be in the room and Lamar is second-guessing what Declan is saying?
Well, and I think that's where we saw the stories over the last 2 weeks that come out of Philly, where clearly there is a disconnect between Jalen Hurts and Sirianni and whoever the coordinator of the day is now for the Eagles, right? Like, in the stories that came out, clearly a hit piece on Jalen Hurts to make him look like a bad teammate, to make him look like someone that doesn't follow the coaching staff, to also make him seem like someone that's just out there freelancing. That I wonder how much of that has to do with the respect level of a player that, in the past, Jalen Hurts in college went from Nick Saban to Lincoln Riley. And I've been very vocal on the air pointing out that Lincoln Riley is kind of a fraud. But when it comes to tutelage of quarterbacks, he does a really good job. I think his overall teams are not good because he doesn't pay any attention to the defensive side of the ball. And that's a USC problem, which I will get through on my own in my feels over the summer, Sean, as I'm a USC fan. But at Alabama, it's Nick Saban. And Nick Saban, when he was there, and I don't remember off the top of my head, but the coordinators that have rolled through Tuscaloosa under Saban are all guys who are big-time college football head coaches now. So whether it was Sark or Kiffin or whoever it was in the moment, those guys had some cachet. So, yeah, you're right. When you have these situations like that, that's why it caught my eye that Lamar Jackson was there and present this week, because clearly he's showing the respect to Jesse Minter and also the respect to Declan Doyle. Or Declan, as Zay Flowers calls him. But at least he's there giving an effort, and I think that's a step in the right direction for the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, I think another example is Davis Webb out in Denver.
Yep.
He's now given the reins, but Sean Payton's going to be in the room, and if he supports what Davis Webb is saying, Bo Nix is going to listen. Declan Doyle's 30 years old. Lamar Jackson's 29 years old. Like that, I'm really interested to see how that relationship works out. I mean, of course, if he's putting Lamar in phenomenal situations and the offense is cooking, I mean, there's weapons there. Like, it's just, there's so much nuance when it comes to the quarterback position, the culture, and how the building feels on a week-to-week basis. And I think Declan Doyle is going to be in the grinder from the start. Especially, I don't know anything. I don't know what Jesse Minter's philosophy is, but it's one of those things. Typically, with defensive guys, what do? I do defense, brother. You go ahead and take care of the offense. I'll make sure everything on this side of the ball is taken care of, and that can get really sticky when you're talking about a guy that's never been a full-time offensive coordinator.
Which it's something that I always point out, that I feel like an offensive-minded coach is always thinking ahead on how to manipulate the game as it goes. And that's with timeouts. That's with getting the football back. That's with decisions on whether to kick or take the ball from the opening coin flip. All of those things, I think, compile. And sometimes, like, defensive-minded guys, because they're reacting. They're not thinking about how to score and how to put points on the board. I feel as if those coaches are always behind in the game management side of a head coach when we look at each and every Sunday.
The season before last, Declan Doyle was the tight ends coach for the Broncos. Mm-hmm. Fast forward 18 months, he is the offensive coordinator, and his quarterback is Lamar Jackson.
Well, that's
a big step.
And that's why, to call it out, if Lamar has a lot of success, Declan Doyle will be a head coach in the NFL. No doubt. Because of the path that he's already on, that if Jackson and the Ravens have a lot of success, maybe it's not 1 year, but in 2 years, he's going to be up for all these head coaching openings when they come around. Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Sean Little filling in for Abdalla today. Earlier on the show, we were talking about Todd Monken. Monken is annoyed and irritated that he missed out on the coach's photo. The excuse and what he told reporters yesterday in Cleveland is that he was getting a haircut.
So I was just trying to get a sweet haircut.
Yeah, a sweet haircut for the fresh-looking Todd Monken of the Cleveland Browns. I would have thought that if he was getting a haircut, he'd look a little sharper. It just looks the same. It didn't look like he really, like they had to do anything. So we were asking the question, and you can text the show at 310-840-4910. What's the worst excuse you've ever heard from someone that was late? Whether it be work, whether it be school, maybe a movie, whatever the case. You have a time, you got to be somewhere. What's the worst story you've heard from someone? A texter from the 850, I believe that's in Florida. Here's the text. We had to dress a deer that ran out in front of us, and we hit it. So they hit a deer, and they had to dress a deer. Is that something you would do?
That's sympathetic of them.
Isn't dressing the deer? Doesn't that
wouldn't that consist of getting them off the road?
No. I think dressing the deer means you're saving the meat.
But you got you're cleaning up the mess that you created with the vehicle, and then you're gonna do right by the animal and have a little grub.
Yes, you're right. Do right by the yes.
I mean, that's it. That's what it is. You gotta, if I'm gonna kill it, I guess I gotta eat it. I killed it. Let's eat it at least.
I think the only time I've ever hit a deer, I think it grazed off the side. It like bounced off and it kept running. Oh, yeah, thankfully, it wasn't. I don't know about thankfully. He might have took a knee when he got deep in the concussion protocol. he went to the blue tent after. Maybe. I don't know. I kept
going.
Once
he got out of there, he went and took a knee.
From the 208, I was at high school football practice. Kid shows up late. Coach asks why. His response, sorry, coach, I was stuff with my girlfriend. He was
doing stuff with his girlfriend.
Stuff with his girlfriend. Straight up. Just, hey, sorry, I was late. Late to practice. I was activities with my girlfriend.
It's early cardio, maybe, per se, before you get to practice, I like that answer. Hey, that's honest. I bet you the coach actually had a laugh, and I bet you that went over well with coach, actually.
Like, I feel like that's one of those where you just, with a blank stare, look at the kid and say, all right, move the drill. Yeah. Like, you go on to the next. You don't even respond.
Couldn't get out of the house, coach. Sorry.
Eric in Colorado from the 719. You can text this show, 310-840-4910. Worst excuse. Eric says he had a guy call in saying he was going to be a little late due to a bunch of camels actively blocking traffic and spitting on everyone around them as they tried to drive by. So camels on the road spitting at them. Is this
what
like
area code was this?
Colorado. so Raj Sharon producing the show from Colorado. Parts unknown. Have you seen camels in Colorado?
Can't say that I have, fellas. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff here. Can't say that I've seen camels.
All right, parts unknown. No camels. Maybe Sasquatch, but no camels.
Sasquatch, we've all seen him. Like he's everywhere.
Yes. Thank you, Raj. Appreciate it. So if you have a bad excuse for someone being late, you can text the show 310-840-4910. Sean Little filling in for Abdalla today. Bleck and Abdalla hanging out with you here on Westwood One Sports. We were talking about the Ravens. How many games will they win next season? We'll talk about that. Over under next.
As your official home of the NFL, we'll take you inside the NFL Draft with exclusive interviews and insight of the draft picks and the team selecting them. Get ready. We're 2 weeks away. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
In for Abdalla today, Sean Little hanging out live from Chicago. Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Now we go to Colorado, parts unknown, and we find Raj Sharon producing the show. It's time for Over and Under with Raj. Hello, Raj.
Hello, guys. I just saw a camel outside my window. I swear. I think I just saw it. Just walking right across the street towards the mountains. I think I saw it.
Was the texter driving through a zoo? Because that seems like the only reasonable explanation for the text that was sent 10 minutes ago to the show.
It's the only one I can make sense of. All right, time to play a little bit of over-under. This is going to be fun with Sean here because at least we'll have one good person playing the game. Sean, I have no doubt you're just going to wipe the floor with Black tonight.
Don't do my guy like that, man. We're both about to smoke it.
Yeah. Good luck. Yeah, I'm sure.
All right. We're going to start the first one with the Ravens. Sean, we'll begin with you. We were just talking about the Ravens and the expectations on rookie coach Jesse Minter. So I'm going to put this number pretty high. Jesse Minter will win over or under 14 and a half games as a rookie coach. By my research, the most wins ever by a rookie coach was George Seifert with the 49ers back in 1989. Now, he was already with the team. He had been promoted from defensive coordinator to head coach. They won the Super Bowl that year. He had a quarterback you might have heard of, a receiver you might have heard of. Can Jesse Minter do better than that? Over or under 14 and a half wins for the rookie coach and the Ravens, Sean?
Did they add a couple more games to the schedule I don't know about? 14 and a half. They have to win 15 games? Absolutely dead stone under. There's absolutely 0% chance that the Baltimore Ravens win 15 games in that division with a new head coaching staff. 0. Done. Las Vegas has them at like 11 and a half, I believe.
Yeah, I'm going to go under, but I also am going under with the idea that I think that division is going to be good.
Yeah.
I think Cincinnati's going to be good next season. The verdict's out on Pittsburgh. I don't really think that McCarthy or Aaron Rodgers is a combination that's going to improve from what we saw last year. And we're still waiting to find out if Aaron Rodgers is going to play this season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Raj, I just want to let you know and all of our great listeners know behind the scenes, one of the things that I told Sean today was like, just so you know, like when McCarthy comes up, my partner who's not here today, he's a little into the Mike McCarthy thing. He's a big supporter.
A little?
Of Mike McCarthy, yes. Well, I'm trying to be nice.
That phrase is burned in my brain. He said, Nickelback has bangers, and so does Mike McCarthy, the Nickelback of coaches. Burned in my brain.
Yes.
Unreal.
Yes. So with that said, we've established here on this program that I'm the one that is more realistic when it comes to Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know if they're a division-winning team, but I think they're a team to fight for the wild card.
Outside of the division, they have to go to Houston. They have to go to Buffalo. They have to go to Dallas.
Yeah.
That's just outside of the division.
Yeah.
15 games, I would be shocked.
I mean, they could very well win the AFC and not win 15 games. So I'm going to say under, Raj. What's next?
All right, next up, over or under 2.5 wins in the NCAA tournament next year for North Carolina and their new head coach, Michael, don't call me Mike Malone. Are the Tar Heels making it to the Sweet 16, Black?
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes because they have the NIL funding. I don't think it's that challenging in year one with the prestige of that school to get to the Sweet 16. So I'm going to say yes. I don't think in the long run that Michael Malone at North Carolina is going to win championships and be there for a very long time. But to get to the Sweet 16, boy, that's got to be a bad first year if they don't even do that. So I'm going to say yes, they'll get to the Sweet 16.
I think it's the proof's in the pudding over the last couple of years in the NCAA tournament that the days of like big-time squads losing in day one or day two are essentially over. If your pocketbook is deep enough, your roster will be so much better than some of the squads that you'll be playing in round one and round two that you should just be able to overwhelm them with talent. So I will say yes, Michael, not to be called Mike.
That's right.
We'll be in the Sweet 16 for
You don't
North
want to get
Carolina
Cassidy Hubbard. Well done there, Sean. Good job.
Yes.
All right, next up on Over Under, the man whose coach has a pretty sweet haircut, Shedeur Sanders, will throw for over or under 22.5 touchdown passes this season, Sean. Last year, that would have put him right around the middle of starting quarterbacks in the league, right around 15. So I'm asking you to make an assumption. One, will he win the job and play all year? And will he be in the upper half of the quarterbacks in the league in touchdown passes? Over under 22.5 for the man now wearing number 2, Sean.
I'm going to go under. If he throws 23 touchdown passes, I think that'd be a phenomenal year for Shedeur Sanders. In year 1.5, you can call it even year 1. I had a joke with every time I talked about Caleb Williams this year, it was his rookie campaign. That first year under Eberflus and that nonsense, in my mind, didn't even count. This was year 1 of seeing real deal Caleb Williams. I think it's going to be very much of the same for Shedeur, even more so because he played less games coming into the year and is going to have less talent surrounding him. If Shedeur Sanders throws 23 touchdowns, I would be very impressed. I'm going to go under.
Caleb had no part in that?
In what?
His rookie year?
Can we extend the show? You want to make? Can we go? You want to go 12 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern?
I understand. I understand what you're saying, and I agree. Like, it was dysfunctional behind the scenes, and in most situations, I don't think people understand that Caleb Williams is like the only mature one in the organization when things were going bad with Eberflus there. But
I think he was trying to figure out things by himself, and it showed.
It is out there that towards the end of the season, he stopped giving the same attention to detail that he maybe did at the start of the season. So we don't need to turn this into a Caleb Williams debate because I agree with you. Like, I think the kid's awesome.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a great quarterback in the NFL. And obviously, what we saw last year is more true to what he is than what we saw in year 1. With Shedeur, to answer this question, Raj, to get to that number, that means Shedeur Sanders is the starter for the full season. I'm still not sold that that's the direction the Browns are going to go. I think there's going to be a competition this offseason. We'll see with Dylan Gabriel back healthy. You know, that the only reason he was taken out of the lineup and Shedeur started playing last year was because Gabriel got hurt. And Deshaun Watson is healthy. I don't know how good he is anymore, but I just I find it hard to believe that Sanders was passed up in the entire offseason program last year and then got thrown into action, and now he's just the number 1 guy, and the others are not going to factor in. So I'm going to say under based on the fact that I don't see him playing 17 games this upcoming season.
For our awesome listeners, Sam Darnold threw 25 touchdowns. Josh Allen threw 25 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts threw 25 touchdowns. Bo Nix threw 25 touchdowns. Jacoby Brissett, Jordan Love, Bryce Young are at 23.
You got to play games, though, right?
Of course.
Like they're all playing, I'm guessing all of those names played at least
vast majority 16
games.
Or 17.
17
that I just laid out. Yeah. So 23 would be a great year, in my opinion.
And not to over-under Raj's over-under, but, I mean, realistically, Raj, how many games are we predicting Sanders to play this season for the Browns?
That's the inference in the question. You know, like,
right.
If you don't think he's going to play them all, then it's a clear under. If he plays them all and still doesn't hit that number, it's an indication he played a lot, but he didn't play well.
I mean, you can argue that he's in the same position as like a Cam Ward type, a little bit of talent, disaster of a situation. Cam Ward had 15 touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
So 23 would be phenomenal for Shedeur.
It's also a situation like Cleveland. I mean, they're likely to be bad.
Right.
And so are the numbers inflated a bit because they're downing games and he's throwing more? Or is it something else? Because like Cam Ward, like you said, Cam Ward was in a situation where they weren't competitive in some of those matchups and things just didn't go well for the Titans offense.
Did you know Jacoby Brissett threw 23 touchdowns in 14 games?
Yeah, well, that's the Cardinals starter.
Shout out Jacoby Brissett, man.
Shout out.
Getter.
Yes,
shout out Jacoby Brissett. All right, guys, we talked about this a little bit earlier on in the show.
Yeah.
The number to qualify for NBA awards should be over or under 64 and a half games. Bleck?
I wish my answer could be I wish it could just be there is not a number set on it and we could just all agree to just play basketball when we're paid to play basketball. Like, could that be the answer?
I guess in that case, your answer is under. It should be 0. There is no number to qualify.
Yeah. I'm gonna say it should be 0, but unfortunately, in the world that we live in, the players have to be told that they have to meet a threshold to qualify for awards. So, I guess it's the right spot. I'm gonna push, even though it's on a half point.
Yeah, I'll take over. I'll keep the 65. I think what Windhorst Brian said was dead on. If you made it 60 games, people would play 60. You made it 67, all of a sudden guys will play 67. If you made it 55, guys would play 55. So it's a little. I'm gonna hammer this into our listeners' head. Without stuff like this, the NBA would be a free for all, even more than it already is. The league is a free for all in a lot of ways, and at least this is getting the stars on the court for 3/4 of the season.
Raj?
And finally, guys, Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson will be drafted over, when, just to make it clear, we'll say that's better than, or under, which we'll call worse than, the 32nd and a half pick in the draft. I'm basically asking you, is he going in the first round or not, Sean? Ty Simpson, over or under pick 32 and a half?
Do you know, Raj, do you know how the NFL draft works? Couple people say this guy is really, really good. He starts to get a little bit of smoke. And next thing you know, a quarterback that had no business going in the first round goes in the first round and sometimes moves up into the top 10. So, yes, without a doubt, someone I think will take a chance on Ty Simpson, and he will go under 32 and a half in the first round for sure.
I'm going to go oppo. I think he goes either 33 or 34. One of the first 2 picks in the second round. I think that's going to be the story on draft night. I think there's going to be spots where people are going to look and think that that's where he could go. 16 to the Jets, 21, I believe it's to Pittsburgh. I think those are spots people are expecting. If everyone is saying he's not worthy of a first round pick, I can't see it, especially with the Jets and the Cardinals sitting there at 33 and 34, unless one of those teams get desperate and have to jump back into the round. But I'm going to go over. I think he goes at the very start of the second.
Last point, I really dislike the NFL draft.
Whoa! I love the draft.
I really don't. I really don't like disparaging teenagers.
Sir, this is a Wendy's. Do you know what you're doing here?
And young guys, I really hate like trying to guess, right? Like, let me see what the kid looks like on the field, and then I'll start giving opinions. And before I'm like killing guys' careers before they even get drafted and where they're gonna go. You know. I just don't like the negativity sometimes around the draft. Does that make sense?
Well, that does it, by the way, for over-under. Thank you, guys. Sean, you are the living embodiment of the meme of you're Derrick Rose serious while Bleck Abdalla, Dwight Howard, and LeBron James goofing off before the All-Star game. Way to bring it today, buddy.
Thank you, Raj. Appreciate it. Sean, I mean, I get your point, but you could be positive on it and just say, like, look at how great all these players are going to be someday for their team. You could spin it that way. You could say, hey, look at this. Ty Simpson, Steeler for life, selected 21st overall. And I think what a great player.
And it also impacts what we talk about guys years later.
Oh, yeah, of
course.
Oh,
this guy went day one. So it's just like, man, this is all because some GM that's fired now picked me top 10. I don't know. I wasn't a top 10 guy.
That's outstanding. Sean Little in for Abdalla today. Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Pollen season is here, but a dirty car doesn't have to be. Wash it away with Tidal Wave Auto Spa for a quick wash and that clean car happy feeling. Find a location at TidalWaveAutospa.com. So the NCAA tournament wrapped up on Monday with the championship game, Michigan and UConn. And the amount of people that tuned in for this tournament brings up the debate. Which is hotter, college basketball or the NBA? We give you the numbers on that debate coming up next.
Imagine a sports platform that talks with you, not at you. Your stories, your opinions, your one destination. This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Sean Little filling in for Abdalla today. Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. I'm Chris Bleck hanging out with you. If you want to join the show, you can call us at 310-840-4910. That's the call or text line. Sean, the NCAA tournament, the men's side, the national championship game on Monday night had a record of viewing, 18.3 million viewers. It's the most watched game in 7 seasons. And tournament viewership was the second most overall since 1994, averaging about 11 million viewers per game, up 7% to last year. So a lot of people tuned in for the men's side of the bracket. I know ESPN reported big numbers for the women's side of the NCAA bracket as well in the Final Four in the championship game on the women's side with UCLA winning. So a lot of people watched college basketball over the last month. That is breaking news to nobody. I say it like that because it is also the time of year that people know to associate college basketball with watching the tournament. And I'm glad that a lot of people showed up and watched. I thought that heading to the Final Four, we had 4 schools that were great stories to get there with Connecticut and Michigan and Arizona and Illinois. It was a little different. There's some familiarity there with UConn, but it wasn't just Duke and Kentucky and Kansas. And so when you have that, I think people are interested. I also think, and you and I are both NBA guys. You work for NBA TV. I love the NBA. It's what I enjoy watching and talking about. And I feel like a story like this that viewers tuned into March Madness, people then want to say and look at the NBA and figure out, well, why are people not watching the NBA as much? Or how do we compare the two? And I think it's very simple, right? In the moment, people watch what's happening in the moment. So I think sometimes people see a number like that and they try and use it as ammunition to prove why college basketball is better than the NBA. And it's except you watch college basketball in March. You don't watch most casual people are not watching the NBA in March. You watch the NBA in May and in June. Now, if you're tuning out in June, that's a problem for the NBA. That's when the finals take place. So you got to be there for the playoffs and the finals. The other thing that I think is very obvious about this year of college basketball, we had no less than 8 teams around the country that had a chance to be national champions and to go on a run. And all of those teams, for the most part, had individuals on the team that will likely be drafted in the top 10 of this upcoming NBA draft. And when you have storylines and teams that are that good, all having great seasons, it allows you to follow along throughout the season. And then when you get to the tournament, you want to see how a team like, Arkansas is going to do, even though they weren't a number 1 seed. How a team, around that, like Houston. Houston was a team, has a kid that's going to go high in the NBA draft. They had a great season, number 2 seed. You want to see how they fare in the tournament. I think that all kind of comes together with how we see the numbers here.
Yeah, I think Acuff in Arkansas is a great call out. I think you're dead on.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, in theory, people like the idea of Cinderellas. People like the idea of a FIU going to the Final Four. They like the idea of those squads, but I'd much rather watch Michigan versus Duke.
Yep.
I'd much rather watch UConn versus Michigan in these big spots. And I think this year, with the combination of 6 to 7 teams being able legitimately to win the title, combined with those 6 and 7 teams being the biggest names in college sports, combined with those teams all playing against each other in the later rounds when it gets tighter, combined with one and dones, is going to drive viewership. The NBA loves Celtics Lakers because that's a to use a college basketball term, a blue blood matchup, right? That's what we would love to see. There's history to it. People, I believe, like the idea of a Cinderella run and a Cinderella story, but if they had to pick, they'd rather watch Duke, Kentucky in the Elite Eight or the Final Four, because those are the teams that have the best players and have a real shot to actually win the title.
Yeah, and Sean Little in for Abdalla today, Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. You and I agree on that, because the Cinderellas are fun for the first weekend. Once you get past the first weekend, I think it dilutes the product. And no offense to those teams that have gone on great runs, and you get one every once in a while, and that's cool, and it's fun to watch in the moment. But you want to see the best teams in the country when you get to the Elite Eight. And when you get to the Final Four, you don't want to see a team like Loyola roll into the Final Four and get smashed. Right. Like that's not, you want to see teams that are great. And I also think, if you could just look at some of the options of players that are going to come into the NBA draft this summer, essentially everyone except Caleb Wilson was participating in the tournament. You mentioned Acuff, Darren Peterson, DeBonsa, the Boozers, right? Yep. Cam Boozer, he's likely to be the number one pick, maybe, he or DeBonsa, Flemings with Houston, Wagler with Illinois. There's a lot of talent that you got to see in the tournament. And even if you're a college fan and you have no care for what the NBA prospect stuff side of it is, those kids are the best players in college basketball. Yeah. So you're going to see them on the next level. And sometimes what we had for a while is you either had one and dones, or you had kids that were 27 with their buddies who are still in their school, who are in their 15th year of eligibility, trying to take down the one and dones. And I think what we've had now with NIL and the transfer portal is you really have the talent spread out everywhere in the country. And you have multiple teams that have a chance to win the championship. And it all made for a great tournament. I enjoyed going down there last week and broadcasting live on Thursday and Friday. I enjoyed talking about the tournament, and I enjoyed watching the tournament. I'm glad a lot of people watch. It's good. It's good for basketball that people are watching college basketball. I don't take that as a slight or a knock on the NBA. Now, we could also focus on how could the NBA grab some of that attention? And it's players got to play. The players in college were playing. Do you see the?
And they're playing hard.
Do you see the difference there? If kids are playing, then you might be all right. Then you get a great product, and I think that's where you and I, being fans of the NBA, we know when we get to Sunday of this week and the regular season ends, and you flip over to the Pitbull and Kesha song. To promote the NBA playoffs, right? It's my favorite thing ever is to listen to the Pitbull version of playoffs, to the Timber song from Kesha. But when the playoffs start in the NBA, it's a different game. It just is. And I kind of thought last night watching Atlanta, Atlanta's a team, Atlanta and Cleveland, that kind of felt like a mini playoff game because both teams were out there trying. And seeding is still in the mix for Atlanta. If they lose games, they could fall out. They could get into the play-in. So I think it's there. It's just players have to play. And in the NBA, you'll get that at the end of April, May, and in June. And college basketball gets to own the month of March, which is fantastic. And I'm glad people watch. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Sean Little in for Abdalla. We'll be back in a couple minutes right here on Westwood One.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
That's right. Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app, Sirius XM Channel 375, and all of our great radio affiliates around the country. I'm Chris Bleck, along with Sean Little today, hanging out in for Abdalla. You can call or text the show at 310-840-4910. Jim Rome coming up at 3 Eastern right here on Westwood One Sports. And Sean, when we look at the NFL, Todd Monken yesterday and the Cleveland Browns, they got a chance to talk to the media. And the conversation, obviously, We look at the quarterback situation for the Browns. We look at the way that Todd Monken, first-time head coach, is going to adjust. Long time trying to become a head coach, and now he finally gets the gig where he's the guy. And a part of some of that, right, is like getting used to the position, right? There are different things you have to be ready for, to be accountable to, and one of those took place last week at the meetings, the NFL meetings that took place in Arizona. He missed the photo. It's out there, the photo, right? No, not that photo. He wasn't holding hands. It was the other photo. Todd Monken did not have interlocking fingers with someone. We didn't see those photos. That was a different head coach. We're talking about Todd Monken. Todd Monken missed the photo, the team photo of every head coach all together. They all get together, right? And they take a picture. And people like to look at it and to point out who's sitting next to who, how much distance are rivals keeping in between each other. Abdalla and I talk about it here on the show a lot of times that with the head coaches, there's like the cool kids club with Shanahan and McVay and LaFleur and little LaFleur. They're at the like cool kids table, right? Like they've got this
There's
little
cliques for sure.
Yeah,
No doubt.
Oh yes. And in the season, you could tell the way that they talked about each other, the way they talked about those who are not a part of the clique. So with that said, Todd Monken missed, and also Sean McVay missed the photo with all the head coaches. McVay didn't really matter. He's been through this before. That happens. Sometimes coaches miss. This is a big deal for Todd Monken to finally get a chance to be in the photo. He was not in the photo. So let's listen to Todd Monken explain what happened. Why were you not in the photo with all the head coaches?
I really don't give a shit. I mean, it had nothing to do with me. I mean, they moved the meeting. I didn't miss it. I was just trying to get a sweet haircut. I mean, that's what I was trying to do. And then they moved the meeting. Now, you can blame that I should have been at the meeting when they moved it up and my ass would have known that's when it was. Yeah, okay, I got you. And was it disappointing? At your ass, it was disappointing. Waited my whole life to be a head coach. I'm not in the head coach's picture. You'd think with AI they could have done that quickly and got me in there. But no, it's the way it is. It'll be under the bridge, and what'll matter most is how we move from here and do we win or not. That ultimately, none of that will matter.
Well, yeah, that's true. None of it matters. It's just funny, and the way he
roller
responds.
coaster of that was unbelievable. I don't care. I was just getting a sweet haircut, by the way.
Yeah.
You think they could have got me in there? But anyway, if we win, who cares anyway? It doesn't matter.
What about AI? Couldn't chatbot AI get me in there?
You couldn't just chat GPT me in the picture?
Like you're right. Like he is. It sounds like his mind is going in 6 different directions 100%. Within the sound clip.
Without question.
Because what is he talking about?
What is he talking about?
Does he think that like Photoshop is just AI is Photoshop? Is that what he thinks that is? Like, I know you can do that, and you could take a picture of Todd Monken, and you could take a picture of all the coaches, and you could ask AI, put this picture in with the rest of them. It could do that. But does he think it's just like a blanket thing for like technology that like AI could just do this?
You'd think with AI they'd get me in there. I'm gonna start saying that.
It's such an old man thing to say. You think with AI they would get me in there. Laura, can you play that clip one more time?
You'd think with AI they could have done that quickly and got me in there?
I mean, it's just insane. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. So Todd Monken, he missed the photo for a haircut, which
I was just trying to get a sweet haircut.
You picked up on, Sean, that he says he doesn't care, but then he also said that if they moved the meeting and they told you, you'd think I'd be able to, like, he like contradicts himself
immediately
in the response, which I don't get, because you would think this dude has a cool haircut. I mean, Todd Monken, let's just Google up a picture of Todd Monken. You think this guy has a great haircut? You know what I'm saying? Like it is as plain as day as possible. Vanilla.
The more I think about it, Bleck, I'm starting to feel a little bad. Because clearly he woke up and he's like, I'm going to get a haircut. It's my first head coaching picture.
You thought he was slick with this.
Super fresh. And he 100% showed up to the scene And he's like, where is it? You know the Will Smith meme where
where is everyone?
Where is everybody at?
Where is it?
My haircut, I'm ready to go, baby. It's my first one. Where is everyone?
You know, they moved it up. They were going to tell. They told us, and you'd think that everyone would know. Like what?
And then you could have told me that. You could say, hey Todd, you should know that they moved the meeting. Well, I mean, I get that.
Haircut. What? I don't.
I feel bad.
Okay, well, sure. Like he thought he was going to look fresh for the picture day. He thought this was going to be a big deal. First of all, rookie mistake. As someone, and I am not saying this, Raj can vouch on this. People have told me in the past I have decent hair. I take pride. No, because I feel like it's very
you do have decent hair.
Like I'm very full of myself. If I say I think I have good hair, people have told me I have good hair. Okay, so that's out there, right? Raj, can you agree
nice
that's
hair.
something that's been said? Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
all right.
I won't disagree with that. I mean,
I'm not trying to be full of
hair,
myself,
but I mean, it's all right.
No, I'm just saying. Here's the pro tip. You never get the haircut on picture day. You don't do that on picture day. You gotta if you want. Okay,
true.
like that's where if you're getting married, right?
Yes, July 11th.
Okay, so you don't
Do
want to
not get
get
the haircut on July 11th, Sean.
The
Don't
day
do
of
it.
or the day before.
Right.
Do not get the haircut. You want to get it like 4 or 5 days ahead of time. So it's fresh, but it's like not. It doesn't look like you came
not too
straight.
sharp.
You didn't come straight from.
I got you.
Right, but you if you need to be whatever.
I'm bald, by the way, so this is more of like a beard conversation for me.
Beard. If you had like a haircut, I think it would be more to apply to. But
Sure.
with the beard, just still. You want to look
Sean,
good.
and if you're running late for your own wedding, you have the perfect excuse now. It's out there.
Exactly. See,
it's true.
And that's where I think you might be onto something. He thought he was being like slick and he was going to look really good for this, but you don't wait until the day of to get the haircut. You do it a day or two before, and then you're ready to go. That's how you handle that.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of stuff going on at these meetings, man. So our guy Munkin got crossed up.
From what I've seen, there is a lot going on out there in Sedona and at these meetings in Arizona. It does seem like the coaches have a lot on their minds.
Jay Glazer throwing parties, an annual.
Yes.
There's a lot going on. It seems
rooftop dancing,
rooftop dances,
sitting out by the jacuzzis. There's a lot taking place at the meetings.
Taking in the views. It's I mean, you could even say it's a very romantic place out there in Sedona.
For football, yes, it's to romanticize about football and to really set your sights on the season. It's really a great way
Great place to set the tone. For the draft as well,
for coaches and for reporters. To work sources,
correct,
and to line up the conversation for how your season's going to go. I agree with you. It would be romantic to be out in the desert.
Who's
talking
not romantic
football.
about football?
I don't know. So that's Todd Munkin. That's why he missed his haircut. So we're asking you, what's the worst excuse you've heard for someone being late? Because it's really a terrible excuse. Todd Munkin's acting like he got in the car and drove to the local hair cuttery to get his haircut, and he missed the meeting because he was off campus. I guarantee that he was at the facility somewhere on the compound.
The resort. There's some
and
salon of some sort.
You're a head coach of an NFL team. You have no less than at least 5 people who are like your handlers or PR people and people that are coaches. Like, people know where you are. Head coaches just don't go missing on top of a roof without anyone having any knowledge where they're at. They don't just go missing and get haircuts by themselves.
And by the way, if you've ever seen this picture, it's like on the lawn in the back. It's not like Munkin might have been getting a cut like 500 feet away.
Yeah, the coach's picture, not the other pictures.
Yes,
that are
correct,
out there.
correct. The coach's picture.
Yeah, you're right. It's like in front of the hotel.
They walk out the back door and stand on the
grass.
lawn.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not like it's at people are driving somewhere for this picture.
That's my point, is to say they moved the time and I went and got a haircut. It's like, well, everyone else is that.
Wait a second. Let's continue to have some fun with this. Did Munkin get the least amount of leeway because it's his first year. It's Monken. Like, does Shanahan get a few extra minutes of like, hey, where's Kyle at? Can we get him for the pick? Do we wait a second? Or were they just like, we missing anybody? They're like, yeah, Todd. They're like, oh, Todd.
Quick, take the picture before he knows. Before he knows. Everyone leave.
Maybe that's why he was perturbed. It's like, damn, they didn't wait for me for a couple extra minutes, man. Jeez.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like when you're the older guy of the crew and you're going to get your haircut the day of the picture, I could see people being like, all right, let's get this photo over so we can get out of here before Todd shows up. Like, who wants to be here when Todd gets here?
That's good.
Watch out for Monken. And so that's what he had to say about why he missed the haircut. He missed the haircut.
Missed the picture because of the haircut.
Yeah, he missed the hair. He missed the picture because of getting a haircut. It's a terrible excuse. If you've heard a bad excuse to why someone was late for something, you can text the show at 310-840-4910. Todd Monken also went on to talk about the Browns and their franchise perception. Take a listen to this.
Winning. Well, what changes everything, right? The winning changes everything, right? I told the coaches that the other day, right? Or playing well. How does a player stop a narrative? Play well. How do we stop a narrative on offense? Score. How do you stop a narrative of winning? Win. It's pretty freaking simple, right? I mean, is that not in life in general, right? There is a narrative out there that, you're not a good husband. Well, change. Be a good husband, right? All that's part of it, right? Change the narrative. Become that. That's what we have to do. It's real simple.
As old school as it gets. Win.
Can't chip better.
Chip better, yeah. Do better.
Short game's bad.
Get better.
Get better.
It's that he is the type of coach that addresses the group with men. Men, this is what we're doing today. Men, right? Like that. Like you could just hear it in his cadence, the way he speaks.
The gravelly throat, everything. Yeah, for sure.
It's outstanding. He's right. For the Browns to change their franchise's perception, they have to win games.
Yeah.
Until that point, we will laugh about head coaches missing photos because they get haircuts because it feels like it's the Browns. And that's just the way it is until they get a quarterback who is someone that we can all agree upon that's really good, and then they start winning games. That's how you change things.
Yeah, no question. That interaction and answer to that question about culture has made me a little nervous. If I was a Cleveland Browns fan. Like jokes aside,
yeah,
the game is too technical and too X's and O's for those types of responses. The defense, like, we got to score more points to win the game. It's like,
that's
how are we going to go about that? Who's going to be in the position to score points for us? How are we going to get that done? So, it's early, obviously, but yes, to change the narrative in Cleveland, you just win games. But I don't know. When's the last head coach that was trying to lose? I haven't found one yet.
Yeah, that's true. And with the Cleveland Browns, you're right. Like, it is one of those things when you get the older coach, and I compared him to Vic Fangio. Listening to Monken speak, I don't want to be mean. But with that said, I can see why teams have passed him up as being a head coach in the past. Right? Like, he doesn't come across as being the most polished and the most technical style of speaker when it comes to explaining what he wants to accomplish. And he is right. Todd Monken's right. If they win, it does not matter. Does not matter at all. But with Vic Fangio, I think people knew that Vic was kind of different behind the scenes. And he wasn't necessarily the CEO type style of coach. He was old school and gruff and a little weird. And Vic Fangio did not work out as a head coach. And this feels very much like that vibe, is that the reason teams have passed up on Todd Monken in the past is because he's a little strange. And when you lose, you're not going to get the benefit of a doubt when it comes to that. And so it feels very much like that. And I know if you're a Cleveland Brown fan, I'm sorry, because that's not great hope heading into the season. But I just don't know. I feel like the Browns' process from the jump was kind of botched. Their entire process of the entire way of the coaching search, and at one point they wanted individuals to write essays about wanting the job. Like, it was weird the way that they handled it. And then you get this. All right, good luck to you.
Yeah, it felt like a very backfill type of hire. Like, I guess we're all out of the guys that we potentially would want to look at that can make a difference. And Todd deserves a shot because he's put in his time and years. So we'll give Todd a shot. I want to be clear. I think I could speak for Bleck here. I want it to work out for Monken and Cleveland, and I hope he could put together a good program over there. I'm just not very encouraged from the initial things I've heard. I have one of my favorite pressers of all time was Anthony Lynn. Remember Anthony Lynn, Chargers?
Yeah.
Towards the end of his regime, might have been his last presser, I think. Someone asked him a question, and he just kind of said, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And it was like a pretty basic question of like, what can you guys do on offense to score more points?
Right.
As Monken would say.
Score more points.
And he was just like, I don't know. He just looked completely overwhelmed and lost. And that's just not where you want to be. If you want to have some fun on a Thursday, go look up the Anthony Lynn audio of him saying, I don't know, man. I'm just collecting checks. I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah, and I think with Monken, and you look at like the different individuals that they interviewed, there are also multiple younger offensive-minded people that pulled their name out of the running for the Cleveland Browns, which I think also is a bit of a concern. That you had coaches who should want the job in the seat who are like, I don't want to deal with this process. I'll go be a coordinator somewhere else. Like what?
And honestly, coaches should probably be more selective than they have been in history. It looks like a pretty clear-cut case that I could have told you Aaron Glenn was going to go to the Jets and he'd be fired in 2 years.
Yeah.
The second year hasn't started yet. I can tell you right now, Aaron Glenn's probably not going to be the coach for the New York Jets come year 3. Like, Aaron Glenn was also on the back end. He was just happy to get a job and an opportunity. And I think he was strong-minded enough to believe that he could turn that whole situation and culture around with no quarterback, bad ownership, and Woody Johnson. Maybe you stay an extra year in Detroit and try to compete there and maybe look for a better opportunity. Who knows? Maybe he could have convinced Baltimore to get that job. Like, those are kind of the jobs you if you could try to get at least an interview for, you have a shot. But, man, some of these situations are just DOA. You're just dead on arrival. You have no shot.
Sean Little in for Abdalla today. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. The Cowboys franchise tagged George Pickens. He's yet to sign the tag. What's going on in Dallas? We'll talk about that next.
Will Alabama QB Ty Simpson be picked in the first round? The Jets, Cardinals, and Steelers have been mentioned as fits for the pocket passer. The NFL draft starts April 23rd. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Sean Little filling in for Adam Abdalla today here on Bleck and Abdalla. Weekdays, noon to 3 Eastern, right here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. You can call or text the show, 310-840-4910. The Cowboys franchise tagged George Pickens earlier in this offseason. George Pickens has yet to sign the franchise tag. He wants a long-term deal. Now, we saw franchise tag player Kyle Pitts signed and reported in Atlanta over the last week. So in the situation with the Cowboys, Pickens not expected to sign the tag. He wants a long-term deal. The deadline to reach a deal is July 15th. But we also have the NFL draft coming up. The first round is on April the 23rd. Is George Pickens going to be with the Cowboys long-term, or could the Cowboys dangle George Pickens in a possible swap of trade assets at some point around the draft? Because the one thing I look at, Sean, with this is with the conversation around Max Crosby and the Raiders, there was some thought that maybe the Cowboys could offer the most intriguing package before all this stuff with Baltimore happened and then didn't happen. There was a talk that because the Cowboys have 2 first-round picks and they have the 20th, which was the pick that they got back for Micah Parsons from the Green Bay Packers, that they could use the 20th pick overall and maybe a wide receiver like George Pickens and trade for Max Crosby. So do you think it's more likely that the Cowboys come to an agreement, give Pickens a long-term deal, long-term contract, and he's there for the long haul? Or could he possibly be used as trade bait here when we get to the draft or before we get to July 15th when the date where he'd have to sign the tag?
If I had to pick one of the two, I would lean that he's more trade bait than our guy, big star, the most polarizing owner probably in sports, Jerry Jones, deals with him not signing the franchise tag.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where, like, he takes that personally and just digs in and doesn't really care. He would, as much as Jerry Jones says he wants to win, I think he would nosedive that situation just to come out on the side of, you're not going to bully me on my own team type of thing. If I offered you the franchise tag, this is the offer. If you don't want to sign it, I will look to move you elsewhere. And the way you get around that is Jerry really has to like you. The stuff that George has done on Instagram stories and on or off the field, he's not that likable of a guy. Fantastic talent. Really good, not that likable of a guy. Like, I think a great example is Jerry Jones really had an affinity for Ezekiel Elliott. He liked Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I like this guy. I'm going to get this guy paid.
Yes.
And that may or may not have been a mistake, depending on who you're asking. But the way, what do they say about men? The way to their hearts through their stomach? The way to Jerry Jones is just being likable and having a good relationship with him. Then he'll tend to overextend himself. But he's not going to play hardball with anyone.
Is it one of those things where you can manipulate the situation where if you know that, like if George Pickens knew that, if he played into buttering up the old guy, Jerry, maybe you get on his good side and then you can get, what you need out of him. I don't know where I've seen that before.
That's not really Pickens' style.
But yes, I could see what you're saying there. But like George Pickens is not he's not the best. Like he's great on the field, but he's got issues sometimes. And especially like in game, being able to control his emotions and to follow along with what the team is trying to do and not be about himself. Like, he's a hell of a receiver, but he's also a headache. And so with star wide receivers like that, you also have to consider they've got someone who's better on the team, right? Like, you don't need to cater to George Pickens because CeeDee Lamb is there. And CeeDee Lamb is legitimately a top 5 wide receiver. He has the credentials. So I think when you look at it that way, you're right. Like, if Jerry liked him, you could probably get a deal done if he liked you. But if you're kind of like taking this position where you're not really willing to work with what Jerry wants to do, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Do you know how many years in a row Dak Prescott went out to a microphone and said the absolutely perfect response to every single question? He did it for years on end, no matter what Jerry said on the mic, no matter what fans were saying, no matter what. And I think this is also a lesson of like, hey, young guys out there, get paid first. Then you can act like. Let me ask you this, Bleck. When did A.J. Brown start acting like A.J. Brown?
After he got the money.
After he got paid,
after he got the money. Yeah.
I got out of Tennessee. I got paid.
After he got the big deal. Yeah.
All of a sudden, A.J. Brown says and does whatever he wants and can say a lot of things at his locker, and he can read books and make noise and cause a ruckus because he's solidified. He's paid now. Pickens is kind of doing this backwards. Be cool, get your money, and then maybe you could start demanding a few things. This is an all-pro talent on his second team causing, in Jerry Jones' eye, a ruckus. So the franchise tag is a perfect thing for you. Prove to me you want to be in Dallas long-term.
Well, right. And if you're looking at a team-building standpoint, Cincinnati is doing it one way, where they have a quarterback who's paid, and they're paying 2 top-level wide receivers. What have they won? So if you're Dallas, why would you commit anything more beyond the franchise tag to George Pickens? Because it's like, is that really the best way you want to build your team? He's a great player. You have CeeDee Lamb. You're already paying Dak Prescott. Like, shouldn't you probably help out your defense? Your defense is the issue. Your defense is the reason you didn't make the playoffs last year. It's not because of Dak Prescott or George Pickens or the fact that CeeDee Lamb missed games, because he did last year. But, like, if that's the way you want to build your team, I don't know if that's the most if that's the smartest way to kind of go about it if you are the Cowboys in the structure of what you're trying to put together.
Franchise tag is $27.3 million for the wide receiver position next year. I think that is – I think for the situation that George Pickens finds himself in coming from Pittsburgh to Dallas, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask him for a prove-it year at $28 million. Now, we've been talking about guys picking up 50-year options for, like, C.J. Stroud. Like, Will Anderson probably has a beef of, like, what do you mean picking up my 50-year option? Where's my extension? Like, what are we even talking about? I've been one of the best edges in the National Football League for a couple of years running now. Like, what do you mean you're going to do me a favor and pick up the option?
I do believe that picking up the option just allows you to negotiate longer for those extensions. But you're right.
Right.
Like, when we broke that news yesterday at the start of the show, it was the two sides of it were looking at C.J. Stroud. It now gives the Texans a year to figure out if this guy is worthy of being the guy for a long time for the Houston Texans.
At a fair
on
number.
the other side, it's like, well, Will Anderson is worthy.
Right.
He will get his contract. Like, that's no doubt. That guy's like 3 or 4 as far as the best in football edge rushers. And the way that defense is put together, they are so good. So you're right. Like, I agree with you. Will Anderson could look at that and be like, what the hell?
Yeah, you think you're doing me a favor here? Like, yeah, we should be talking. We're talking about 5th-year options. We should be talking about an extension.
Right. So that's the latest, and we'll keep our eyes on George Pickens and the Cowboys. The draft is just we're 2 Thursdays away from the NFL draft, April the 23rd. The first round of the draft will be that Thursday, the second round on Friday. Bleck Abdalla, we will be live in Pittsburgh for the NFL draft, and we will be backstage during the first round. So we can't wait to participate in that and to be a part of the NFL draft. And we're looking forward to it. And in some of the conversation, I know yesterday, Fernando Mendoza, a couple things. He was at the Raiders facility for his official visit. He is receiving the playbook. He's getting ready for the season already, even though he hasn't been drafted yet. This has happened the last couple of years with quarterbacks who are going first overall. They're given the playbook. They start to learn it. It's not a big deal. I do think it's a bit of something to point out that Mendoza has told the NFL that he will not be there for the first round. He is going to stay home and to watch the draft through television and to join the commissioner or whoever on Zoom. He will not participate in the draft. I think this kind of stinks. And not personally because Abdalla and I are going to the draft and we will be broadcasting live for it. But I do think this draft this year is lacking a little sizzle. There's one quarterback that everyone agrees upon that should be a first-round guy. There's a second guy that we're debating whether or not he could sneak into the first round. But those who say that he's going to sneak in, like Sean told me earlier, it's because teams are going to get desperate. It's not really because he is a top-level first-round prospect. It's because teams are going to be afraid that they're not going to be able to get their quarterback. And so if Mendoza's not there, like, what's the big storyline? What's the sizzle for the NFL to serve to the public? I don't know what it is. Like, I think there's a lot of good defensive players that will be selected in the top 10. I'm going to enjoy that. I don't know if that works for the casual sports fan that's just tuning in on Thursday of the draft.
If Mendoza told me he was going to zoom in, I would have the commissioner declined that. Like, you know what? Don't worry about it. You wanted to stay home?
Decline the call.
You wanted to stay home, big dog? Go ahead and stay. You don't need to call in, brother.
You know when the difference of receiving a phone call on your phone and then receiving the bomb of the FaceTime where you're not expecting the FaceTime from someone and then you just see they're trying to FaceTime you and you're like, hold up, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing a FaceTime right now.
What do you mean you're not coming? You want to call in? No, thanks.
No, thanks. Sir, you're the number one pick.
Yeah, you're the number.
We need you on stage.
Yes.
We need you in front of the crowd.
But I'll call in. No, thanks.
No, thanks.
Don't worry about
I'll pass. I think, from your perspective, as far as the hype goes building up for the NFL draft, if the number one pick isn't there and that's clearly the number one guy, aren't you telling people the night of the draft, why would I watch this? Unless you're a fan of the team and when your team picks?
Yeah, partly. But this is the thing about the NFL. If you're on the fence, maybe, but there's guys that are going to tune in no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter if nobody was there.
I guess it's
if they were just envelopes, people would still tune in, right? So
I guess it's just in the context of recent years. This feels like there's not as much, as far as big storylines taking place heading into the draft. And it's mainly, and I will fully admit, it's due to the quarterback crop that's coming out this year. Next year, it's a totally different ballgame. Next year, before we even get to the college football season, there's 5 guys that people are suggesting could be first-round draft picks. That's different. 2 years ago, when we had 5 guys select in the first round, that was a big draft.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. So I do think it's something to kind of pay attention to, and we'll continue to prep for the draft here on Bleck and Abdalla over the next couple of weeks. Bleck and Abdalla sponsored by Progressive Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. I want to talk to you about the NBA. Let's fix tanking. Cool. And I want to ask you about the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we'll do all that before Jim Rome starts at 3. So that's coming up next.
As your official home of the NFL, we'll take you inside the NFL draft with exclusive interviews and insight of the draft picks and the team selecting them. Get ready. We're 2 weeks away. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Make sure you check out the podcast on Apple and Spotify. Also, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Bleck and Abdalla Show. Like and subscribe. The live stream's up each and every day, and also new content posted right there. Bleck and Abdalla Show live on YouTube. In about 16 minutes, Jim Rome takes over right here on Westwood One Sports. Thanks to Raj and Laura for producing today's show. And also, thank you to Sean Little for filling in for Abdalla today. Appreciate you hanging out and being a part of the show for the last 3 hours.
Of course, man. Always fun. Always a pleasure.
You're also on NBA TV. When's the next time we can see you on NBA TV?
I just did the last couple days. I'll be on April 12th.
April 12th?
I'll be on. Yeah.
Perfect. You do a great job. It's a fun watch on NBA TV. And when before I let you go and before we hand it off to Jim Rome, I think you and I need to fix tanking in the NBA. It is clearly one of the major storylines to this season. I think there's been a lot of fun basketball. There's been a couple of teams where it's like they built the right way with players that they drafted over many years, and then we've seen them grow into something. In the East, that would be Detroit. In the West, it's the Thunder, it's the Spurs. And then there's also various teams that are, Denver's played well in the last couple of weeks. They've now moved into third. For a month, the Lakers were the hottest team in the NBA. Injuries have kind of decimated their season. There's a lot of good basketball storylines, but the thing people continue to go back to is the players don't care, they don't try, and teams are tanking. How do we fix that?
The biggest problem with tanking is that, unfortunately, it works really well. So throughout the years, if you go back and look, like, this tanking thing works, right? So that's the big issue, and that's why it's so popular. It's been very egregious this year. There's a lot of different ways that you could go about fixing it. I think you just have to prioritize winning at some element. The NBA proposed 3 ideas as soon as the end of March 27th. It was released. I'm going to go through these 3 concepts.
Okay, give them to me.
Silver and the league came up with. The first proposal is 18 teams involved in the lottery. The bottom 10 that missed the play-in outright and the 8 that qualify for the play-in will be a part of the lottery. The bottom 10 teams will have an equal 8% chance of moving up in the lottery, with the remaining 20% being split through the 8 play-in teams, depending on your record and where you land in that. That's number one.
Seems complicated.
It does.
It seems complicated.
And I also think, too, a big thing here is like, I don't want to have to sit down and, like, what is my team going to draft, man? Like, I don't want to have to be looking at standings and tiebreakers.
Calculations.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
right? So
I agree with you on that.
That's also, I think, an issue for the NBA. The second proposal includes 22 teams. The bottom 10 that don't make the play-in or the playoffs, the 8 that make the play-in, and then the 4 that lose in the first round. They will all be included in the lottery and will be ranked according to their record across 2 seasons. That's proposal number 2.
See, and that's one of those things. That's where they're trying to prohibit teams to just a one-season give-up type of situation. And if you're somebody that's crushed with injuries and you're really bad, you don't get rewarded for that.
Right.
We've seen the Spurs get rewarded for that in the past. If you go way back, Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
The Spurs were only the worst team in the NBA because David Robinson was out.
For one season, yeah.
For one season.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, all right. Give me the third option.
Third proposal is a 5x5 method. Sources told Shams Charania reported this. In this one, the same 18 teams from the first concept, the bottom 10 that missed the play-in plus the 8 that make it would be entered into the lottery. The teams with the 5 worst records would then all have the same odds, with them descending from there, and there would be a lottery drawing for each of the top 5 picks in the draft. After those 5 are selected, there's another drawing for the remaining 13 teams.
Oh, no, we can't do that. Can't have 2 drawings.
Those are official proposals from Adam Silver and the NBA. So
oh my God.
Brad Stevens talked about this could be a stopgap. This could be a long-term thing. I will say, I'll give Silver credit here. They are willing to try things. They are not scared to roll out different formats and try different things. You can't miss here. You can't miss on this one, though. This needs to be fixed, and needs to be fixed by next year.
Why does it feel like when Adam Silver needs to change something, he puts in like what a hipster non-sports fan would enter into ChatGPT to spit out an idea to fix sports? You know, you ever talk to a music guy? You know these people in your life. They're like music nerds, or they're not a sports guy.
Sure.
And they're like, you sit down and they go, tell me about the sports. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Where do I start? They're like, those NBA players don't like playing. You're like, yeah. I mean, and then you try and like give them a nice response to like placate the fact that they don't know what they're talking about. That's what Adam Silver is like asking AI to give him answers. Like, here's my thought on it. In the past, did teams tank? Yeah, teams tanked. In the past, did we have the epidemic that we've seen this season? The answer is no. That's not the case. I think what they did where they flattened the odds totally encouraged teams that otherwise in past years would have considered trying to just flip it and to try and tank because the odds are flat for everyone. But back in the day, I think it was from like 1993 up until 2019, the team with the worst record had like a 25% chance to win the draft lotto, which if you're the worst team, that's great. If you're not, it's a highly unlikely situation that you get that pick. But what that did was you had less teams at the bottom that were trying to get there. And what I would say is look at the standings today as we end the season. You essentially have 5 teams who are all within 3.5 games of each other at the bottom. Sacramento, Utah, Brooklyn, Indiana, and Washington. I think in a normal year, you would have 2 teams. It would be like Washington and Indiana. And when you have 2 teams and not 5 teams who are at the very bottom, from night to night in the NBA, you may notice it. And there may be non-competitive games, but it's not as big of a problem. And then if you expand it out and you look at the teams who are really all trying to tank, you got 9 teams there. Chicago, you have, New Orleans is in a weird situation. They tried kind of this season. They just weren't good at the start of the year, and they don't even have their own pick. It goes to Atlanta. So they're at the bottom of the standings. But Dallas, Memphis, Sacramento, Utah, Brooklyn, Indianapolis, Indy, and Washington. That's a third of your league is not trying on a night-to-night basis. That is where we've gotten the problem, because we were looking up at the schedule today. Tonight, there are 2 games on the schedule tonight in the NBA that are just full-on tank-offs. You have 4 teams participating.
You can put them on tape delay.
Yeah, the games don't matter. They are intention. Both of these matchups between 2 teams who are both tanking, they're not trying. So I think, was it a problem in the past? I don't think it was as great of a problem as it is now. And I think all the ideas are kind of a little bogus.
Yeah, I think to put it in simple terms for your logic, it's there was only a few teams, select teams, that were on a race to the very bottom.
Right.
Now there's 10 teams at the race to just be bad enough,
right,
to where I have a shot to get the first pick in the lottery. So, yeah, I clearly the adjustment with the play-in and the new stuff since the lottery, you had the worst team had the highest percentage to get the first pick, hasn't worked, and they need to revisit something. I would love to figure out a way to just the team with the most wins get some type of element, some type of reward for doing that. But what if you're just if we're not trying to lose and we're just a bad team? Then they get penalized for that, right?
Yeah, right. And
like Sacramento, right?
Yeah, that's my example. Is like the Kings have been historically bad because they're just bad. Like they can't get out of their own way. And so at that point, if you can never have a reward for a franchise like that, you're just always going unfortunately, that makes me feel like it's a lot like baseball, because the rich get richer and the teams at the bottom who don't spend will never actually compete. Like, we're never going to see the Pittsburgh Pirates win the World Series. They don't spend. And so I don't think that's the type of league the NBA wants to have, is where bad teams are just always going to be bad. Like, it would be beneficial for them if Washington was a good team. You know, maybe they get new uniforms or a different, call the team something else. But I think that's a different conversation.
And they're talking expansion too, so it's like you can't do that, right? So it's a lot of stuff going on.
Sean, thank you for hanging out today. It's been a pleasure, and it's good to see you.
Anytime, Bleck, man. Appreciate it.
Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Sean Little filling in for Abdalla today. Make sure you check out our podcasts on Apple and on Spotify, and also like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Bleck and Abdalla Show on YouTube. Make sure you watch the show right there each and every day. We'll be back tomorrow from noon to 3 Eastern right here on Westwood One Sports. Jim Rome and the Jim Rome Show is coming up next.
This is Westwood One Sports.